Joining us now, Pulitzer Prize-winning author, presidential historian Doris Kearns Goodwin. She's the author of the new book, An Unfinished Love Story, A Personal History of the 1960s. A beautiful book. We've talked about some on this show. Doris, good to see you. I'm curious, with your perspective and the long lens of history, how you view these protests over the last couple of weeks on college campuses, how they differ, how they're the same from those we saw in the 1960s.
Well, I'm actually old enough that I was one of those protesters in the 1960s. I was a graduate student at Harvard in 1967 when really it was the main subject of the day: teach-ins, protests, demonstrations, marches. I went down with a friend of mine to a big march in New York, a mobilization march. And the two of us came back worried about the fact that some people, most of the people were peaceful, but there were some carrying Viet Cong flags. Others burned down the American flag. Construction workers were throwing things out of the windows. So we went back and conservatively wrote an article for the New Republic on the need for a third party to challenge Lyndon Johnson in the hopes that all that protest could be put into the system. And meanwhile, we heard nothing from the New Republic. We weren't published authors. And meanwhile, I was selected as a White House fellow. We had a big dance at the White House. I danced with President Johnson. And then 2 days later, the New Republic finally published this piece with their title, How to Remove Lyndon Johnson in 1968. I was certain he would kick me out of the program. I've later found out the FBI investigated me. There were big discussions in the White House. But he finally said, bring her down here for a year. And if I can't win her over, no one can. So that was my first involvement in the anti-war protests.
Hey, Doris. Hi, it's Peter Baker. It's good to see you. Congratulations on the new book. I'm curious what you see in terms of the parallel between LBJ and these protesters and the young people of his era and President Biden today and the young people that we're seeing in Columbia and all these other colleges. And is there a parallel there or lessons for the current president?
Well, I think the most important thing is that with the Vietnam protest, there was a clear sense of mission to stop the bombing and to begin negotiating a peace. And what you saw happening among the overwhelming majority of students who joined the McCarthy campaign in New Hampshire was that he was going to be running against Lyndon Johnson for the presidential nomination. And the kids had, I think, been taught by the civil rights movement of the importance for discipline, the importance of staying on message. The kids cut their long beards and their hair. Girls wore long skirts instead of miniskirts. They knew that their goal was to fire the conscience of the American people. And it worked for them. I mean, McCarthy got 42% in that New Hampshire primary. That led to Lyndon Johnson deciding to make a major speech on March 31st, 1968, where he called for an end to the bombing, stopping the bombing, and he was going to call people to the peace table, and he withdrew from the race. And for a moment, it seemed like it had really worked. My husband was up there with the McCarthy kids. He loved those kids. He was 37. He was an old guy. He used to stay up at night telling them stories about JFK and LBJ. But then what happened is the North agreed to come on April 3rd to the bargaining table, and it was one of the happiest days in Lyndon Johnson's life. On April 4th, everybody was prepared to go from Washington to Hawaii to begin talks with the officials there. Johnson was supposed to join them later that night. The whole plane was filled with White House aides. And then the news came at 5:30 that Martin Luther King had been shot. And then everything seemed to break apart. It's just fate intervened. The riots happened. The talks eventually broke down. And then you get to the Democratic Convention, which was much more out of control. I was also at that convention. So I think the discipline originally of the overwhelming majority of the students and the clear-cuttedness, it was our war. So it's an easier thing to protest than somebody else's war where you don't have control over the same factors.
So fascinating to have your view of all this. Presidential historian Doris Kearns Goodwin. Doris, thank you so much. Great to see you.